There are many questions whether the Colorado Supreme Court had the jurisdiction to decide that former President Trump engaged in an insurrection at the Capitol.
Investigative reporter Megan Cloherty continues our team coverage with a closer look at what the ruling means for Colorado voters. Megan.
Well, Rob, there's a lot of uncertainty around whether this decision will stand. However, it's very likely come Colorado's primary in March that Mr. Trump's name will be on the ballot. This decision by the Colorado Supreme Court comes from a challenge to Mr. Trump's qualifications as a candidate made by 6 Colorado voters this fall. And within minutes of the release of the state Supreme Court's opinion, the Trump campaign promised to appeal the decision to the U.S. Supreme Court. That said, the Supreme Court does not actually have to take the case if it's appealed, and in fact has never ruled on that section of the 14th Amendment. It may choose not to get involved and let the voters decide. Unlike the Colorado Supreme Court, where a majority of justices were appointed by Democratic governors, the Supreme Court is comprised of a majority appointed by Republican presidents. If they don't take the case, the state ruling will stand. Now, of course, there's that question of whether Colorado was the proper venue for deciding Trump's future as a candidate. In his dissenting opinion, Chief Justice Brian Boatwright questioned whether this court had the authority to take the case in the first place. He wrote that, quote, simply put, Colorado's election code, section 11113, was not enacted to decide whether a candidate engaged in insurrection, end quote. So what's next is the question. As political science professor Robert Preuss from the Metropolitan State University of Denver explains, if there's an appeal filed, Trump's name will be on the primary ballot.
Their decision had a stay of this opinion, so it doesn't go into effect until January 4th. That's a day before the Secretary of State certifies the primary ballot. And if there is any appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court, then that stay will be indefinite, and we'll have the status quo with President Trump on the ballot.
But if it's not appealed in time, Trump's name will not be on the ballot, and we understand write-in votes for Trump will not be counted. The state Republican Party could take action here, too. Party Chair Dave Williams told me today the party will withdraw from the primary entirely if the ruling stands, saying, quote, we cannot in good conscience allow any judge to dictate who we are going to choose as our nominee. He says the party will appeal the state Supreme Court decision and is seeking a waiver from the National Republican Party to move to a caucus system if it's necessary. So, of course, no one knows what the outcome will be, but if the ruling stands, it will only apply to the ballots here in Colorado. However, if the Supreme Court does not take up the case, it could open the door for Trump to face challenges in other states that have not yet considered the question. In studio, Megan Cloherty, News 5.